Last week on the Poisonrana Patreon, we talked all about the greatest matches of Abyss in a brand new episode of Best Match Ever.
Team Cage of Christian Cage, Scott Steiner, Tom Coe, AJ Styles and Abyss versus Team Angle with Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, Rhino, Samoa Joe and Sting. I watched the video package going into this, I watched the match, I saw the end, and I still don't fucking know what's going on here. Please, tell me.
Yeah, TNA had, like, they suffered from their own success. You know, it's like, look at the names you just read off. Like, that's fucking stacked.
Tom Coe.
Yeah. And Tom Coe, yeah. Like, just, those are some crazy names in the world of wrestling, and yet they still managed to, like, just fumble whatever TNA ended up doing.
Get this show plus NXT retro reviews, wrestling reviews, movie reviews, and so much more over at patreon.com/poisonrana. And it's only $5, so what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Up Next at postwrestling.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever podcast app you are using. And of course, we are
Live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, Postmarks. How are we doing?
Hello, Postmarks. Hello, NXT friends. It's Wednesday, November 6th. It's weird. We don't usually hang out on Wednesdays.
It's like the good old days, isn't it?
Hello, Wednesday, November 6th, and we're here to talk about some NXT at the ECW Arena in Philly. So we got quite a show we just watched, and we're going to talk all about it here today.
Oh, yes, we are. Yeah, pretty hyped show this week. Right off the bat, if we weren't recording tonight, would you have watched this first over AEW? Because, I
don't know. Like, you've definitely. I feel like maybe I'd be a channel flipper and maybe try to see what was going on. I don't know, because we do this show and we always try to cover NXT. We always put NXT first, guys. See, Braden and Davie, your NXT friends, because NXT comes first for us. Okay, always. Through the thick and thin, through Saturday pay-per-views. We'll get there. We're always there. We're always here to talk about NXT, and we'll always be your NXT friends. But yeah, when it's like watching one or the other, it kind of puts me in a predicament. I've been your roommate for a very long time, and you were always like, we can't watch both. I can't focus. And I've been like, okay, that's cool. No problem. And I think you're right, because then you do get to like focus a bit more on one thing. But the problem is, like, we work in like this where we're trying to like go on social media and like share, you know, hey, we're going live, or hey, we're talking about NXT, and you're trying to avoid like spoiling. Not that there probably was anything like huge or noteworthy to be spoiled on, and I wasn't looking for it, but we're both under the camp of like, I don't like being spoiled on things because I like it fresh. I like it like a TV show.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I think ultimately I watch these shows as a fan. Yeah, we've been covering NXT for a long time. There've been times where I've really enjoyed it, times when I haven't really enjoyed it. But right now, I'm pretty into NXT, and I just want to enjoy them. And why dilute it for me, like going back and forth, when I could just, you know, do this show and then watch AEW after. But yeah, I think this week, I think there are certainly other times when AEW has definitely had my interest and had some big things booked. Looks like an all right card tonight. I don't know what happened, but I think with the whole 2300 arena, the ECW nostalgia, I would have been picking NXT first. I think I was a bit more curious just to see the aesthetic, which which legends they're going to have come back. I was really looking forward to this 10-woman tag as well in the main event. So I think I'd have probably still stuck with NXT this week.
Yeah, I've been a little low on AEW TV as of late. We chatted all about it on this past Sunday on Poisonrana, which you should search that in your podcast app or YouTube and give us a little follow. We chatted all about our dismay with the current recent TV with the AEW, like not the most must see. So you know what? I think I agree. I think I would have much rather watched this one. Honestly, I think going into this show, I was like, oh, NXT doing a show in the ECW Arena. Now, we were lucky enough to kind of fulfill a weird wrestling fan's dream of visiting this arena. We went to the Tribute to the Extreme show during WrestleMania weekend. And, it was so cool to finally see it. It's been redone. They treat it like it's a cool thing. And we said to each other, like, hey, how cool would it be if, like, you know, they did a wrestling show here for TV? And look, here they are doing it. So what would an NXT show look like in the ECW Arena is exactly what like the question was going into this show. But NXT, especially maybe this current product, and ECW could possibly not be further on the opposite ends of like what they represent or like their vibe. I don't, if you know what I mean, like aesthetic.
Like the grunginess of it. I mean, I think we said it in the in the hardcore matches we've had, and even last week with that casket match. It's a little, everything looks a little plastic, a little bright, and doesn't necessarily have that risk of staph infection that you used to get in the walls of the 2300 arena.
It's like like
on the flip side, I think ECW did kind of serve as a bit of a feeder system for WWE back in the day. I mean, that's a big reason why Vince helped secretly finance it a little bit and a lot of wrestlers came from ECW into WWE. So I guess from that developmental point of view, and then obviously there was what Shane McMahon originally wanted to do with the WWE ECW, which essentially was NXT. So I guess that kind of shares the same sort of vibe, if you will, but certainly, the grunginess, the dirtiness, the hardcore nature, the extreme nature of ECW, maybe so much in NXT.
It's like, would Sexy Red fit in NXT?
I think Sexy Red would fit in ECW, to be honest.
You know, I feel like maybe this was a weird, like, hey, let's just do this. It could be a fun thing, and maybe a little bit of a Shawn Michaels love letter to ECW, like, hey, you know, we never really crossed paths. But imagine old school a-hole Shawn Michaels in ECW. I think he'd fit in pretty well back in the day. But we're gonna chat about this. Like this is pretty cool having this venue. Like the ECW Nostalgia Act has been played out, but it's something that people never like let go, and people love to go back and rewatch. And using the network, like we do tons of podcasts, and we love to go back and watch old school ECW. And again, we went to the venue, and there's still like so many things around it, and people still like high regarded and love to like the rewatch value, especially people in like probably in their 30s or 40s now, still go back and watch it and stuff. So I still think there was a bit of a like, hey, we're not expecting to see a lot of them wrestle because they're probably well into their 50s or older, but at least like a little bit of acknowledgement or seeing them. And off the bat, I think they nailed it. I think they did a perfect little amount of, hey, look, here's ECW, but this is an NXT show.
I think as well, again, kind of what we had with that show just outside St. Louis, running these kind of venues, I think is so good for this product. I mean, this place was packed. I don't know if you noticed, but there wasn't a hard cam. It made some awkward camera work at some times, but it was mainly just the camera on the crane and then the sort of actual cameramen at ringside, because they wanted to pack as many people into this small arena as possible. And I thought it looked great. It just has such a different feel than just being in a studio. Actually, it feels just more live and there's more energy. And I'd love them to run more venues like this one, like the one they did in St. Louis, because I think it really works for this product.
Yeah, totally. Like I love wrestling. I also love the lore of wrestling arenas. Like even in people who play the 2K games, you know, they've even added like places that kind of look like, you know, your Arena Mexico's or whatever, like
Korakuen Hall and all that.
Yeah, so like there is like a respect to like famous like arenas and stuff like that. And this one, obviously, having this lore, it looked great. So I wonder if we do this again, like a yearly thing, maybe.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being a bit of an annual thing for NXT. I would kind of like, and honestly, I sort of felt this a little bit when we went to the 2300 arena in April, but I'd have liked for them to try and recreate a little bit of how it used to look, you know, that brick wall or something like that by the entrance, or even having the banners in shot for some of the shots, like the wider shots of this would have been nice, because at times you maybe wouldn't be aware what arena it is. And I think that's what with MSG I always like when they use the short entrance, because you look at it and you go, oh, they're in the Garden. Whereas when they started doing it just like any other arena, you don't necessarily know until they flash up the graphic of where they're at.
No, I totally agree. We had fun at this arena. I remember they served Stone Cold's beer. I don't know if that's like a year-round venue thing, but they had them. We saw Enzo Amore selling CDs or giving away autographs. So I don't remember that was.
We still have to both. Yeah, we still have to. He was giving away other stuff as well. But
yeah, we won't talk about that. We saw Blue Meanie. My buddy Shane and Tom got me a Blue World Order shirt, so I was really thrilled about that. He was a gem of person. All like these legends were just walking around, and like we got to hang out with like so many like famous ECW people, and they were just having a good vibe. And like the arena has been done up, but they have like things honoring the like history of this venue. So they do tons of wrestling shows there still. And definitely recommend like the bucket list again, as a wrestling fan. Like we had a ton of fun. And again, that sketch bar that me and you ran into down the street, that was,
I was looking out for it in the video when they were showing Philly. I was like, oh, is that the bar we went to?
Me and you were not in Kansas anymore for about 5 minutes. That was really fun. But yeah, this is cool that they did this, and it felt like a bit like an NXT one night stand is what this was. But yeah, we'll get into that. We do have some other things to kind of just plug away here, because we are up next, but we are also known as Poisonrana, and you should check us out in your podcast app. But we do tons of other podcasts. We dropped tons of Halloween stuff. If you are into that, we did a yearly tradition reviewing Halloween movies. We finally reviewed Halloween H2O 20 years later. Jamie Lee Curtis, LL Cool J. That's on the free feed there for everyone to listen to. Again, we review Halloween movies once a year. So next year, you know what it is.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Damn
Resurrection.
Right. So check out our H2O review, chatting all about that. We dropped a DETOX talking about spooky stuff. I know there was a Wattup Do with Siino and B chatting all about Halloween stuff and wrestling and everything. So lots of free shows, as well as Shot in the Dark. But we do have a patreon.com/Poisonrana. It's only $5 to get a whole month's access. I mentioned we've got like tons of retro ECW TV reviews, best match ever, and pay-per-view reviews in that archive, because we've done a whole lot. But we've done movie reviews. We did best match ever Abyss, best match ever Motor City Machine Guns, where we look, review, rate, and make this great playlist of matches with links as well for everything. And then another show is returning this week. If you've been following our series to count down John Cena retiring in the WWE, we've been doing a show called The Champ Is Here. And now we're on reign number 3. Yes, we've done episode 1. That was with Andrew and Nate. We did our last episode with Maddie and Jordynne chatting about Cena's second reign. But now we're going to be joined by our boy Pierce from the Barber's Chair podcast. We've never done a show with him. We are boys with this guy, and it's a long time coming, to be honest.
I've got to correct you there. Emmy award-winning producer and host of Ruthless Aggression on the Barber's Chair Network, Pierce Robertson. I'm super excited for this. Like, this is kind of Pierce's whole thing is going through the whole Ruthless Aggression era. So he is perfect for this Cena show. And we knew this task was going to be daunting because this is the 380-day reign of terror of John Cena. And who knows how long this would have gone for if he didn't get injured and had to vacate the title. But this has been a bit of a daunting task. We put it off last month because we knew we were doing a lot of Halloween stuff. But this is one we've got to rip off the Band-Aid. It's a long one, and it does include a feud with the Great Khali. So there's some great stuff in this, though. It includes the Umaga Last Man Standing match, the Shawn Michaels WrestleMania match, the Fatal 4-Way at Backlash with Edge, Randy Orton, and Shawn Michaels. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is kind of similar to the profile shows we've done where we don't just look at the matches. We're talking about the segments, the stories that were going on, all that kind of stuff. And we'll get an idea of what era of Cena is maybe Pierce's favorite, and especially which Cena shirt does Pierce like the most.
Oh, yeah. Gotta thank everyone for sending in the love from the first 2 episodes of The Champ Is Here. So I know this one is definitely going to deliver, and I can't wait to talk about it. Talking about John Cena versus the Great Khali. What else did I want to do today other than watch the Great Khali versus John Cena? Nothing, not at all. But I'm really excited about this. This is going to be such a fun show. So that's out on the Patreon, as well as all the other shows that we've done in the back catalog, and a ton more coming out this month as well. But like we said, all these shows, $5, that's pennies per podcast. So check us out there. Also, we are independent podcasters. You can support us by buying some swag, buying some merch, including the new merch drop, the Lucha Frog of Doom. Yes. Shout out anyone who's already purchased some stuff. Shout out Frank. Shout out Lorenzo, who's just rocking the gear already. But
glowing reviews for this product.
Shout out Alec Hugill with the design. He absolutely nailed it. And we got t-shirts, hats, toques, everything here for this whole new line of merch with the frog and the Lucha guy. It's awesome. And if you do buy stuff, please send in some photos. We'd love to share it and everything. But that is how you can support us as well.
And honestly, get them now, because we're going into a new era of the United States of America, and things could change. Dickie Bird has put out a statement that there is, potential changes with pricing and stuff due to there being a new president come January. So I'd advise try to get these now. Get these in time for Christmas.
I mean, I guess we should talk about the bad news, Davey. We should talk about the elephant in the room. We should talk about possibly the worst
elephant in the room. I don't know if you watched NXT on the CW, but there were lots of commercials for the elephants today on NXT.
I'm shocked, man. I mean, Australian breakdancer Ray Gunn saying she is retiring from breakdancing today.
No.
How am I supposed to have a good day when I wake up to news like that? She's completely stole everyone's hearts this year at the Olympics with the breakdancing. Why does she have to retire? That was the bad news I was talking about. What were you referring to? What were you referring to?
Oh, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, Godspeed, America. God bless the USA, but Godspeed. Love you all. Holy crap. I blame Mu Deng, that fucking hippo, man. He backed the wrong person and predicted that. Fuck, man.
I don't get it. I hope the cost of gas is really cheap for you guys. I don't know. We're both not aren't American citizens, but it does kind of affect the world, this stuff, and I think it's really scary. I think it's really sad and a huge step backwards. And obviously, a lot of people are very happy because that's the way they voted. But
democracy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fucking embarrassing, to be honest, and putting a convicted felon in charge of the White House, someone who incited an insurrection last time round, a rapist, a con man, tanked every one of his businesses. But cool. I hope the eggs are really cheap.
Yeah, it seemed like the prices of groceries definitely is what everyone's like. Yeah, well, this is what's going on. You know, if I can't afford eggs, you know, the only eggs they care about are the ones that they need the prices dropped. Maybe not so much attached to human living people.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow. I get the U.S. just wasn't ready for their first woman president, but they are ready for their first vice president couch fucker. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
You win some, you lose some.
A couch fucker and a criminal. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, like it's really bummed me out. The last we kind of bar hopped a little bit last night, keeping up with the election, and it just got more and more depressing as the night went on. And and kind of felt pretty bummed today. And I know I've got we both have a lot of friends and family in the States who are kind of scared right now, and maybe rightfully so. So sending all our love, you know, hope things get better, and we're thinking of you.
Yeah, absolutely. That goes to anyone in the States, and to all the listeners who sent us messages today saying, "Hey, how do I become Canadian?" There's definitely websites for that, but we got.
Oh, I can tell you the websites.
yeah, Davey can help you out. Definitely. Like, hey, this doesn't necessarily like change your life to the day it is like right now. Like, hey, love each other, be nice to each other. It's keep moving forward is the best thing we can do. And don't just sit and wallow and everything. Continue fighting, continue voting, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely fucked. We're Canadians, and this reality show this season, they went a little dark. They swerved at the season finale. It might be the series finale is what it's looking like. But yeah, all the love to the Americans. And some people listen like, hey, I'm going to be able to afford my groceries now. All the power to you, brother. All the power. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, you can follow us on Blue Sky Social. So at Poisonrana Pod.
Is Thread still a thing?
Sky.social. Give us a follow. Let's see what life is like over there.
Like I've used Twitters for like our profession is definitely what we use it for not just the wrestling internet community, but like sharing podcasts and community and all this stuff. But I find in the last few months, it's become just like promotion of Elon Musk and all his cronies and all his bullshit. And I'm like, what is this? Now I don't see any engagement through like people who I know are using it. And then when I talk to my friends, they're saying the same thing. Like, I don't follow Lil Pump. Why do I keep seeing his damn tweets all the time?
Like the only accounts I really follow are friends of mine and wrestling. Like that is what I use my Twitter for. It's for this. Before I was doing upNXT, I barely used Twitter. So, and I blocked Elon Musk, and the fucker still keeps on showing up. And I don't follow a single political account as far as I'm concerned, and my whole feed is that. So crazy. It's garbage. But yeah, give us a follow on Blue Sky, and maybe we'll give that a little go.
Absolutely. You can still follow us on Twitter. We do have a Facebook. I know some people are iffy on the whole meta stuff. We are on Instagram. Hey, we've passed 500 on our new account since it got shut down. So maybe let's push the Instagram, push the Facebook page, go like us. There's a group you can join as well. This is how we interact. And yeah, I'm down to try the Blue Sky. I gave Threads like a day, and then I didn't use it ever since. And then I tried to use it today, and I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, Threads is still just Zuckerberg, isn't it? So,
yeah, it's like, man,
I don't know much about this Blue Sky thing. I've just seen. Well, let's see who owns it. It's probably
we need an upNXT Poisonrana. I don't know what Discord. We need what other TikToks? We need a TikTok more. Oh man, I don't know. Anyways, yeah. The world is. Life's a garden. Dig it. Just keep fighting. We're Canadians. I'm calling you Canadian now because you're a citizen. God damn it. So as Canadians.
It's a woman owns Blue Sky. So there you go.
Wow.
Fuck yeah.
Aggressive.
All right. Anything else before we get into some NXT?
Yeah. Okay. So I mentioned we talked about a lot of stuff on Sunday on Poisonrana. We discussed Crown Jewel, if you want to hear us run through the entire show, and then AEW as a whole. We are going to Full Gear in a couple weeks. I booked this trip simply to see the Costco guys wrestle live, allegedly. So I'm very excited about that. But the rest of the card, not so much. So here's talk about all of that stuff. And we will be going live this Sunday at 2 p.m. And we'll talk about some Dynamite that we missed since we watched NXT tonight. So we'll talk about Dynamite. We'll talk about some WWE. We'll talk about Kenny Omega returning finally, but on a completely different promotion in a completely different continent in the country. But we'll talk about that, his return, New Japan Kenny, and we'll talk about everything else. So join us Sunday at 2 p.m. live over on Poisonrana Live, and then the podcast goes up on the free feed there right after. So we'll talk about everything else that kind of goes on in the world of wrestling and whatnot. So join us for that, I guess is what I can say. And then we're back. Sorry, and then we're back next Tuesday here for Up Next, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. I know you don't tend to watch, but I did Raw last night, and they actually had some real good wrestling. I thought the main event 4-way with Priest, Sheamus, Dominic Mysterio, and Seth. Yeah. I thought it was excellent, and Dragon Lee, Chad Gable, fucking killed it. Okay. Really enjoyed Raw last night from a wrestling point of view, which they're definitely stepping up on now, I think.
Also, you got to check out. I'm sorry to plug Twitter again because I don't know if you've posted to Instagram. You have to check out. I know some of us may be still hungover from the elections or hungover from Halloween, but you must check out our Halloween costumes from this year because you have to give it to Mr. Davie Portman for his costume of Dirty Dominic Mysterio. And you went all the way out. You grew your hair, you grew your mustache, you got boots, you made your own gear. What a worker, an independent wrestler here. We're making his own gear, making it look exactly like Dominic Mysterio. So much that we all dressed up as different wrestlers. Our friend Big Tom was badass Undertaker. He forgot the MAGA hat at home, I guess, with our friend Steve as Kane. And then he convinced me to be Stone Cold Steve Austin as a very last minute thing there, which ended up working perfectly. And we then went to zombie wrestling, and so many people were coming up to us like, "Oh, fantastic costumes, guys." But I thought you looked just like Dominic Mysterio, so much that standing next to you for hours that night on Halloween, I'd look over and I'd be like, I'm hanging out with Dominic Mysterio. You looked so much like him that I was like, this is so
there we go
bizarre. Yes, look at Davey as Dominic, Dirty Dom here. I hope you got chicken nuggies at the end of the night.
I wanted them. I don't think I did, but our friend Graham was also Brian Keith.
Yes,
Brian Keith sent some love to him.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, respect Chris Jericho. I then printed. I also the cheap costume was I printed out a giant head of JD McDonough just to.
Yes,
I wanted to DK head it, but it was way too much work, and I was like, I give up on this costume. But I had so much fun as always. So check out our photos. I'll post. Be sure to post them on Instagram as well. But we had a blast, and definitely check those out because we've done these costumes for the last few years.
Oh yeah, we were really drawing some blanks on a couple's costume this year, so hopefully we get some inspiration. Look, there's our Stone Cold right there, chugging some old style pilsners.
Yeah, we went into I walked right to the bar. I was like, I need 2 cans to complete this costume, and it worked.
Cost you about $50.
yeah, for that at that venue. Yeah, exactly.
And then Brian Keith.
Brian Keith, yeah. Graham did Christian last year. He's fantastic as well. But Big Tom, pure fandom, always bringing out the belts and the gear. We always look like legit because he's got every belt. Big Tom, just bless him. He's like, be Stone Cold. He's like, all you need is he had a vest. I had the 316 shirt. I then shave my head. I then wear I wore baby blue jorts essentially and rolled them up to make them a bit more Daisy Duke. All I was missing was the knee braces, but then he let me borrow the Attitude Era Winged Eagle, which is just crazy. So yeah, we looked good as always. I saw a lot of Austins that night actually, but not as good as mine. So
It was pretty funny. I don't think you were there yet, but because we went to Zombie Wrestling at Superkicked, and right at the front of the line was a guy wearing a Rey Mysterio mask. So I went, "Dad, you deadbeat," and he just gave me this
like what
blank look, and I was like, "Fuck you, Dad."
Oh,
completely no sold me. I was like,
punches you in the face.
I'm like, it's pretty obvious who I am. I think
You gotta spell
we're at
it
a
out.
wrestling show. You should know who I am.
Yeah, we got to see Sin Bodhi live. It's great.
Did we?
Yeah. I don't even think you know who that is.
No, I have no idea. I just remember hearing the song from Beetlejuice like 10 times. A few times I thought we glitched and we'd actually like skipped back in time because I felt I was watching the same thing over and over again. But it was fun. Right. We had a good time.
Yes, send us your Halloween photos if you did in your wrestling. I'm sure we'll do it again next year, as always. But Halloween is come and gone. Bring on Mariah Carey.
Oh God,
yeah. Let's talk about some NXT.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about NXT One Night Stand in Philly at the ECW Arena, now known as, I guess it's always been known as, the 2300 Arena in Philly here. And we get a great introduction from South Swanson Street, and we get the original ECW theme, like the extreme, mixed in with NXT footage and some classic ECW footage as things kick off here. The video package is pretty cool, right? Hearing that song.
Yeah, like the grainy filter effect and mixing in some old ECW clips with the more hardcore moments in NXT. Yeah, I thought it was great. They dropped this earlier in the week, and it definitely got a lot of buzz online, and I thought it was a pretty cool way to open the show.
We then see earlier today Trick Williams and Bubba Ray Dudley hanging out in Philly, and
right by our Airbnb at the Geno's,
right near our Airbnb at Geno's. Now I know what some of you were already thinking, but we gotta give you the Philly cheesesteak discussion briefly again here. So with Wiz, and
Wit
Wiz, of course.
Yeah.
And I know Pat's and Geno's are like, oh, Pat's was I don't want to call it garbage, but like it was not good. It was my least favorite. Geno's, maybe not the best, but when your Airbnb is near Geno's, like a 5-minute walk, and it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., Geno's was great.
Reliable, I'd say. I think Geno's was very reliable. There were a lot of Geno's about. We were by like the main one, and it was open all night. So we knew we could always get a cheesesteak at the end of the night at this Geno's, and it was pretty good. It was pretty tasty. Yeah,
they were good. There were other ones. We did try out other ones that people have recommended. Obviously, we had some Philly natives who showed us around and everything. So, but
Denix, if you ever go Denix, it's incredible.
Ishkabibbles was really good too. Shout out Woolies. We didn't have cheesesteak, but they had Fernet. So Woolly Mammoths on South Street, gotta go. And then you took us to some weird cocktail place. What was that? I feel like we got a frozen Henny or something, a frozen Jagerbomb. I don't know where you took us.
Oh, sorry, the frozen margarita bar.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Place. Yeah, I love Philly. Philly was awesome.
It was a good time. We then see Javon Evans hanging out at the Liberty Bell. Did he touch it? Did you think he tried to lick it?
The line was a lot shorter than when I went, but yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. But we kick things off here at the ECW Arena NXT with our opening match. A hardcore rules, ECW rules, if you will. Lola Vice taking on Jaida Parker in a bit of a grudge match. But to add some ECW flair, we have a special guest referee, Dawn Marie.
Yeah. Shout out
right.
Dawn Marie.
Yeah. Shout out Dawn Marie here. Back in the ECW Arena. I feel like it's been quite a long time since she's been featured on anything. Since she killed Tori Wilson's dad on TV, right? Like maybe she's been laying low. But great to see her back here on WWE TV and ECW and getting a little bit of some flowers. Hometown reception here. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Lola and Jaida, this all started because they both hated Fatal Influence, and then, of course, now they don't like each other. Jaida attacks Lola right before the bell rings here, and they start fighting. She grabs a chair right away, but Lola backfists it right into her face. Now, it looked like this smacked Jaida straight in the face.
This normally I hate this kind of move because I'm like, that's hurting your hand more than it's hurting the person. But this walloped Jaida right in the head. Looked pretty good. Still would have hurt the hand, but looked pretty good.
So Jaida then starts to come back, and she grabs like another chair, but then gets dropped toe hold right into it, and the whole chair collapses. This looked pretty good too. Lola then hits the three amigas, I'm calling it here, like Eddie Guerrero tribute, as we come back from a commercial break.
What I liked about this three amigas is they laid the chairs all out in the ring, and each suplex she hit was landing on a different one of the chairs. So yeah, it was pretty good.
When we come back from break, now there's all different types of weapons, like this like ECW style ladder. It wasn't a WWE ladder. It was an ECW
grimier
ladder. Yeah, it looked tinier, smaller, like it would break and everything. Is exactly what happens because there's ladders, kendo sticks, and then it's Jaida who sets up Lola in the corner for the teardrop, but puts her on a ladder and then climbs up another ladder and like jumps off it with her bum, sending Lola crashing through this ladder. This was a pretty awesome looking spot here. This looked great, but somehow Lola kicks out of this. Jaida grabs the trash can, but it's Lola who puts it over Jada's head and starts whacking it with kendo sticks and kicks to the head and everything, and then takes it off and puts her in a sleeper. But while Jaida is trying not to fade or tap out and trying to get the ropes or something, she notices there's just a placed brick, a nicely placed brick hanging out. I mean, it is Philly. It's the ECW Arena. So she grabs this brick and smashes it over the head, or more like the face of Lola Vice here. But 1, 2, Lola kicks out. And I think Vic Joseph was as shocked as I was as the viewer, like, I'm pretty sure if she got a brick to the face, that's the finish. But if it wasn't, Jaida then runs the ropes. She runs it again, runs it a third time, and hits the hypnotic to the face for the 1, 2, 3. And Jaida Parker wins, not from the brick to the face, but from the bum to the face.
The butt is mightier than the brick.
Yes, there we have it.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty fun. I think Jaida Parker in particular has improved quite a bit recently. I thought she had kind of the attitude and the personality, but it was her in-ring letting down a little bit. I think she's found a way to make the hypnotic look a little bit more devastating in the last couple of weeks. It's still not a great finisher, but I think she's made it work a bit more. Mm-hmm. And I like that it wasn't necessarily the usual plunder that we see in these hardcore matches. Like, I appreciated the use of the suplexes on the chairs, and I thought the brick, when I first saw the brick, I'm like, oh, it just looks like rubber. But when it actually exploded, I thought it looked pretty cool and got a great reaction. It should have been the finish, as you said. You're taking a brick to the head. But,
the bricknotic.
Yeah, I think both these two, I think fans seem to really like both characters as well and want to see these two be bigger deals. I think they both offer something a bit different that we don't necessarily have on the main roster yet, and they're not kind of carbon copies of other women we have in WWE, and they do have very natural charisma and personality. So I thought this was a pretty fun opening match. Could have done with a bit more Dawn Marie. She didn't really do anything here. I thought we were going to maybe get a bit of a spot with one of them, but she was pretty much just a ref straight down the middle.
She was calling it right down the middle. That's okay. Yeah, she didn't really do too much, but it was cool to still see her involved, seeing her on TV. But yeah, I thought the brick to the face was pretty cool. The ladder spot as well. I thought they like really over delivered here with they must hear the complaints, especially from us, like for the last months, years, even in NXT, they do these street fights or hardcore matches or whatever you want to call it. And then it's kendo sticks and a chair, and it's like so lame. So here they're actually using like other things. Like, they don't need to explain to me why a brick is there. It's a wrestling hardcore match. Someone put it there. That's fine. Like, I want to see that. So I thought they over delivered. Maybe even my favorite match on this show. And there was some other really good wrestling. I really thought Lola and Jaida really stepped it up here. So hats off to them, and put not only me as the viewer at home, but I think the crowd in like a really good mood, because they were kind of shocked at the stuff that these women were doing. So yeah, they were hardcore here.
You know what really made me laugh though is Vic Joseph saying, "This is the first ever women's hardcore match in NXT." I'm like, I mean, come on. We've had no DQ matches.
Yeah.
We've had triple
Yeah,
street fights, all this stuff. It's just, what's different about a hardcore match than any of these others? But
I mean,
I guess
yeah.
technically we've never had a match called a hardcore match with the women's division.
When was the last time someone used a brick too? Like AEW's used the cinder blocks. I remember WWE, there's Edge with the brick and the briefcase.
We had the Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose stomp on a cinder block, I remember.
Right.
But that was 10 years ago plus.
Bricked up. So this match was. We go to Ethan Page and Ridge Holland earlier at the Rocky statue in Philly. Great spot. Iconic. You can listen to our Rocky review on our Patreon. Ethan Page and Ridge at the Rocky statue. They say, "We are here at the birthplace of America, Philadelphia. And how funny is it that an Englishman and a Canadian are here, and we're going to take over and ruin everyone's night." And they say that they both want the NXT title and that they have to face Trick and Bubba in that dump ECW arena. But tonight, it's not about statues or fairy tale endings, and there definitely won't be tables.
So promising to remove the tables, which will come into play a little later.
I thought Ethan Page, because they were at the Rocky statue, was going to pull an ultimate heel move and be like, "And Rocky sucks," or something like that. But even he knew, he's like, "I can't do that. It's not true."
Yeah.
We go to the segment I think everyone kind of knew was coming. Kelani Jordynne doing the Van Dam splits as Rob Van Dam is with her, coaching her, saying, "Hey, you got a pretty good splits there, girl." He says that he's really impressed with Kelani and really impressed with what she's been doing. And she talks about how she's got her match against Fallon, the rematch for the North American title, next week. And Rob says, if you really want to be the standout, you have to beat Fallon tonight. And then she says, "Thanks, Rob. Like, I really appreciate that. And I'm going to try to do that." When we hear like a voice say like, "What up, Rob?" And the camera guy goes down. We got a cameraman down. As you hear the voice of Wes Lee, who attacks Rob Van Dam. And then we kind of see that Rob has been attacked here before the next match.
Yeah, it was cool to see Kelani with RVD. Obviously, he has inspired her a lot with a lot of her moveset and stuff. It really reminded me, though, and we'll definitely get into it with the Wes Lee Javon match later, but the time when Bryan Danielson wasn't cleared, he'd retired, and there was a segment backstage when he was the GM, and Kane grabs him by the throat, goes to chokeslam him, and the lights go off, and then they come back on, and Bryan is on the floor. It was very obvious that there was zero physicality all night with Rob Van Dam, which was quite weird. I mean, we saw him wrestle back in April in AEW, and looked.
But that's
AEW,
good. Right? Like, I think maybe he's not cleared with WWE doctors, and I'm not sure. I'm just like assuming maybe they're not into that.
It must be, because it was strange having Nunzio wrestling on this show, but not Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam actually showing up in his gear as well. I found it a little odd, and all I can imagine is WWE haven't cleared him.
Yeah, that was my only thing. Is last week they kind of teased, like, almost people were like, is he going to wrestle? Is he going to be a ref? What are they doing? And then he just really comes out and does a spot. I think it would have been a lot cooler to have him. He is like the ECW superstar, like the one, right? Like the guy. And I feel like maybe the only thing is like having him do something a bit more interesting than maybe what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel if the Bloodline story wasn't a thing right now, and Paul Heyman's been written off TV, he's been off for a while. We're building the original Bloodline back up. If Heyman was on TV every week, he'd 100% have been on this show, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And doing that big opening rally,
fairly legal speech. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going to have Heyman on this show before. You're not going to do an AEW and spoil his return before he's there, you know? So have him show up in New Japan or whatever. So I think you weren't going to have Heyman there this time around. Maybe next year if they do it again. But I think giving that role to Rob would have been good. You know, just start the show, open the show up in the middle of the ring, have the RVD chants going, introduce the first hardcore match of the evening, bring out Dawn Marie, that kind of thing. I think would have been more interesting than him very obviously trying not to do any physicality. Like, he didn't even swing that chair later or anything. Like, he didn't do anything offensively or anything happened to him. So I felt the RVD thing was the big sort of weird spot on this whole show for me.
I totally agree. I think it was to protect, like, they did not want him to do physicality, or he didn't. I'm not sure. Like, again, thinking back, we've seen him in AEW and he looked pretty good. I mean, he looks older. He looks older, obviously, but he's still in great shape. He's still doing, the dude can still do the like jumping guillaine leg drop. And
he's still clearly like works out daily and is stretches, keeps in great shape.
That good shit, man. That's good for him. It was the only one thing I'm like, him versus Javon or whatever, that would have still been like the dream kind of thing. But cool to still see him. You know, he's still a big like deal with ECW and everything. But we'll see him a little bit later on. But we go earlier today, a lot of earlier todays. We're going all over Philly here. They love Philly. We see the family meeting the other family. Here it is. This is NXT Italy. This is the closest we're going to get right here. Any Italian fans, this is for you. We've been fantasy booking this as a joke way before this even was a concept, of seeing the two famous Italian mob families in wrestling appear together. And boy, did we get it. Tony D'Angelo and the family meet at Tony Nick's. Now, this is just down the street from the arena. We did not go to this place.
I went to this place on my first trip to Philly back in 2017.
I'm assuming it's cheesesteak.
Yeah, it's another cheesesteak. But,
of course. But so these two families meet up. We got Nunzio, Lil Guido, and Tony Mamaluke, and the family here, and they talk about how Rizzo's going to get her revenge because she's got a match next week with Nikita Lyons that's set up. But Nunzio says, Tony, we're not done business here because you don't make Nunzio come to you. You don't make Nunzio chase calls. You answer my calls. Plus, here in Philly, you got to pay a tax. And that tax is defending the North American title. And Tony, you're going to defend it tonight against me. That's right. Nunzio versus Tony D'Angelo live tonight. If I knew this was the match, I'm not even Italian, but I would have looked at flights. Looked at flights for this one, baby.
Yeah, I was shocked to see
Very
Nunzio being. I mean, we did look at Nunzio's cage match last week, and he is wrestling pretty regularly.
We watch him wrestle at this arena just a few months ago? He was on the card, was he not? Yeah, we watched him wrestle.
I don't remember a whole lot of that night.
That's where show. Is this the best wrestling event this year at this event? Not the one we went to.
Yeah. But I think it was especially funny because my suspicions were already that Rob Van Dam wasn't going to be working the show after that last segment. And then you just got Nunzio being like, I'll wrestle. I've got you. So, but yeah, I was hyped for this. He wasn't someone I was expecting to actually wrestle in this. And I was pleasantly surprised. He was in a tag match, apparently. Against the Pitbulls. Okay.
Yes. It was the FBI versus the Pitbull Revolution.
That's right.
Right.
I remember now.
I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, wow. So yeah, the two families, the FBI and the D'Angelo family, and now Nunzio versus Tony later tonight. Oh man, fantastic. I already was like, wow, we got a great opening match. Dawn Marie was there. RVD's here. Nunzio's here.
Crazy.
Fantastic. You know, everyone's getting excited. Like, hey, this is an ECW throwback. To me, this is a early 2000s, mid 2000s Raw reunion here. I got RVD. Got Nunzio. He was kicking around in like 05. We got Bubba. We got Booker on commentary. I'm getting all these throwbacks here. It's Rhino. Fucking great. oh wait, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. We go to our next match. It is Javon Evans taking on Wes Lee. These two start off with some great fast action. Javon hits a Rana onto him, and then they go to the outside of the ring, and Wes does this like 619 around the post, which was pretty cool. And then they're fighting on the steps, and he hits Javon with a brainbuster onto the steel step. Crazy as they go to commercial break. When we come back, Javon hits a pretty nuts Rana, almost like it didn't connect, but like Wes still went through
the top rope, like standing Rana off it looked crazy.
Followed up by Javon hitting this like flying springing kick, but it's only a 2 count. He then hits what is kind of like the Blue Thunder Bomb meets John Cena's Proto Bomb in a tight move here for a 2 count. And then Wes comes back with like a series of super kicks, like the Marufuji hook kick, and then a poison Rana. You know, that's our favorite move. Followed up by the cardiac kick, but Javon kicks out, and Booker and Vic are really selling the move. Like, hey, like, is that the only time anyone's ever really kicked out of that?
They did it where it wasn't the full cardiac kick, because normally he does the backflip, like the handspring backflip, and then the cardiac kick. So sort of somewhat protected it, but yeah, it was the cardiac.
So Javon comes back with a roll up for a near fall, and then a running jumping cutter, like Randy Orton style, early Randy Orton RKO style, for a 2 count, and then hits the triple jump. Reminds me of the Costco guy. The triple jump cutter from Javon, which this move is just crazy to see. But somehow Wes kicks out of that, as then Wes eventually rolls out of the ring, and then Javon goes to hit a tope, but Wes sidesteps him and throws him right into the commentary desk.
That was a great spot.
Yeah. This is when Wes is in the ring with a chair, and the ref is like, hey, no chairs, man. When Rob Van Dam's music hits, one of a kind. Shout out Breaking Point. He comes out and he's like, hey, you're not going to fucking use that chair on my boy here. And this is when a flying cutter incoming into the ring from Javon. Again, like literally Randy Orton has passed him not only the cutter, but the like out of nowhere RKO thing here as he hits that. And then Rob Van Dam tells Javon, hey, go up top. And Javon hits a splash. That was very far. Like I think he hit his knees on the way down.
You saw Wes like roll further away, because I mean it was something Rob Van Dam was always known for, changing his angle midair or clearing 3/4 of the ring. So they were going for that, unfortunately, because as I mentioned at the top, we didn't have a hard cam for this. So there were a couple of moments in the show where maybe the camera work, they're not as used to the arena, because it kind of missed it, and you kind of caught it with him more landing on his knees and then doing it. Still impressive, but didn't quite fully catch it. Maybe
it was still really impressive. I just like it looked like his knees may have just like banged off the mat there, which I'm sure really hurt. But he gets the win and pins Wes, and then celebrates with RVD in the ring here. So we get a great moment. This guy Javon, 20 years old. In his promos within the last year, he's talked about Rob Van Dam being an inspiration. So this is, I'm sure, a crazy moment for him. Although he's 20, so what was he watching? RVD and like TNA?
Yeah, I enjoyed the match. I mean, these two are just both spectacular, and I don't think it's the end of this. I feel like these two are probably going to be in your Men's Iron Survivor.
I'd put them in that match. They would really.
These two would be awesome in that.
They would really make that match.
I think it's time Javon needs to give some names to some of his moves, because I'm fed up of writing in my notes. He then does the flipping Osprey like kick and the triple jump cutter move, and I start coming up with some cool names, Javon. We kind of touched on the RVD stuff earlier, just a little weird. I almost would have just, it's the ECW tribute show. Just make this a hardcore match, so we don't need to worry about faffing around with hiding the chair and where that's going, and just do it. But I thought this was excellent.
Yeah, pretty great. I think these two will definitely steal the show in that Iron Survivor match. But again, only gripe is RVD not wrestling one of these guys when.
So what was RVD's original plan?
like last week, it made it sound like I got an idea, and then tonight he got beat up before he could make his plan. I don't know.
Because Wes said earlier in the night, "I've made your decision for you," which kind of implied that maybe he was thinking of wrestling one of them, especially that he's in his gear. But yeah, just we'll never know. We'll never know what was the plan.
What was RVD thinking of doing on this night? They made a shirt for him. Did you see? It said one night only RVD. I was like, really? All you did was help this guy win a match. You weren't really like a big part of the show. They did, however, sell. I wonder if this is on WWE Shop. NXFNT.
I want this shirt.
This really want one.
Shirt. I don't have any NXT merch.
Yeah,
and this would be one I'd
I know it's a silly ripoff, but it looked awesome. The NXFNT one. I got a shout out if anyone going to the Philly ECW Arena when we went to tribute to the Extreme 2. As we left the show, there was some guy with a box selling Kimona Wanna Leia shirts, and just like they used to do back in the 90s. So that guy is probably selling them tonight too. I bet. So shout out Kimona. She wasn't on the show tonight, but she was there in spirit. But yeah, I wonder if WWE start to sell the NXFNT shirts.
Yeah, I can see the RVD one night only ones being sold. I can't see this one, and I can see a Wolf Dogs flag that's on auction right now, signed by Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin. Current bid is $100.
Oh yeah, if anyone's listening, like, hey, Braden, why aren't you discussing Baron Corbin? You definitely have to listen to Poisonrana from last Sunday. We spent a lot of time giving our flowers and pouring one out for the wolf.
And I quote, "I'm not going to sit here and shit on a man who just lost his job, but Baron Corbin is the fucking drizzling shit," and goes off for about 10 minutes saying about how much he dislikes this poor man's career.
Best match ever, Baron Corbin?
Let's do it.
Or like worst match ever, Baron Corbin.
He has good ones, sure.
Had some good bad matches. I'm just mad he retired Kurt, man. I'm sorry. I'm just never gonna fucking even Kurt hates it. Do you see that interview clip? Man, Kurt is like, yeah, Vince was just fucking with me. I'm like, man, we could have had it all. Anyways, back to the ECW Arena. Our general manager, Ava, is in the ring with Mr. Stone and Stevie. And she's headed to the ring, but when they are walking through the arena, Eddie Thorpe is trying to talk to her, and she's like, "Sorry, not right now. I'm in the fucking zone." And he's like, No, like, please, I just need to talk to you. She's like, "Sorry, I'll get to you." And he goes, "That's twice now." And she's like, "I'm sorry, but I got business." So Eddie Thorpe, angry with authority.
I really don't remember the first time she blew him off. Do you?
No.
Good. It looks like we're heading towards a heel turn, I guess, with Eddie Thorpe, because he's been, overlooked and just brushed to the side. He needs some sort of character change because he hasn't connected with me at all since coming into NXT. So change up the gimmick a bit, try a bit of a heel edge. Let's see if we can unlock something that works with Eddie Thorpe.
Ava, Stone, and Stevie are in the ring. Ava says that it's a real honor to be here in one of the most historic wrestling arena or venues in the history of wrestling. She then says that these Philly fans are some of the most passionate and hardcore fans in all of wrestling. And she has some exciting news that NXT Deadline will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota on Saturday, December 7th. And she's very excited for NXT to go back on the road again. When Mr. Stone grabs the mic and says, "Hey, I just have a little problem with what you just said there, Ava. You said that Philly fans are the most hardcore, but that's not true. Everyone knows New York fans are the most hardcore," to a sea of boos here at the ECW Arena. And Ava's like, "Oh, man, why would you say that?" He goes, "Yeah, to be real, even Boston wrestling fans are more hardcore than Philly. And just like your Phillies and your Eagles, your time has passed." When the lights go out and when they come back on, he's still going off about Philly when Stevie's like, "Hey, Stone, behind you." And he turns around. The man beast, Rhino, runs at him, gives him an old gore right out of his shoes, and celebrates in the ring to an EC dub chant from the arena. But yes, classic lights out. and Rhino delivering a gore. You'd love to see it. Just like ECW One Night Stands, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. It's always fun to see Rhino. He still delivers a mean gore. Found it a little weird using Robert Stone for this role. I feel he's pretty much been a babyface recently of these GMs, with Stevie Turner being more of the heel in the group. So thought you could have maybe found someone else on the roster to take this gore. But it was fun. Another good ECW like tie-in. But yes, Deadline on Saturday the 7th. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in Liverpool at a wedding, so I'm not going to be able to do that show. And you know how we feel about Saturday pay-per-views, but
of course,
I'm sure we'll cover this somehow, some way.
Yes, we'll still be doing a show. You can mark my words, but we're the only people that hate Saturday pay-per-views, but because it's either we're working or it's Saturday.
Yeah.
But Saturday, December 7th, we're getting the 2 Iron Survivor matches. There's more on that next week. Ava will be discussing we'll probably get the whole kind of deal with what the matches might be and everything like that. But December 7th, Deadline in Minneapolis. If you are going to the show or thinking of going to the show, let us know. We'd love live report and feedback and all that stuff, and have fun. That sounds pretty fun for a show. But I was like, why is it Stone? He has been just a nice guy, but I love seeing Rhino. We've got to see him at a bunch of indie shows still. He's a gem, and he still can hit that gore. So bless him.
And this is at the Armory, which apparently opened in 1936. It's really old. And holds about 8,500 capacity. So nice. It would be interesting to see how that looks.
We go backstage. We see the NXT 5, the dream team here: Giulia, Zaria, Jordynne Grace, Kelani, and who am I missing here? Oh, Stephanie Vaquer, of course. Yeah. The 5 of them here. And they say they're very excited to be here at NXT. And they're I think Giulia just says it's great to be here at ECW. It's like, yep. And then they are interrupted pretty early here by Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, hot off their PLE appearance in Saudi Arabia last week. And they say that, we were really close to becoming tag champs, so we're going to be watching this match closely, but we think the champs got it tonight. And they kind of tell them off, and Vaquer says that we're going to show them hell. And Giulia says, yes. So this team is looking forward not to get tag team gold, but to look at the 2 titles because of Fallon's title and, of course, Roxanne's title in our main event. They tell us, yes, the women are main eventing the ECW Arena. How times have changed for the better, possibly here, because this sounds great. This is the match that we were definitely looking forward to when they announced it last week. This dream team, they're dubbing it here, of just the craziest stacked women's roster in all of wrestling. So they deserve it for sure.
Yeah, when kind of writing the description for this show earlier, I was trying to think, is it going to main event with like Trick and Bubba, or main event with this? I think this is the right choice. It's just an absolute stacked lineup of these 10 women, and I'm really pleased they got to main event it. Especially there's kind of, you mentioned at the beginning, like there's a lot that ECW and NXT really don't have in common. But I kind of liked celebrating that for this. It's like, there weren't really many proper women's matches back in ECW in the day, and let's look where we've gone in those 20 plus years that we're headlining with 10 women, and multiple of these people in this match could be like main eventers down the line. Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool to see. We go to our next match. Ethan Page and Ridge Holland make their way as they will be taking on the team of the NXT champion Trick Williams and his tag team partner, Bubba Ray Dudley. Do you like how I'm calling him by his real Fed name?
By Bubba Ray, yeah, in the bed.
Bubba Ray.
I know how much you love TNA, but that ain't this guy.
He's wearing the classic Bubba Ray gear, the Dudley Boys gear with the glasses and all, looking great.
Part of me was they were showing in the match graphics him wearing the camo, and I know this was his WWF attire, WWE attire, all that, but I kind of wanted the tie-dye, especially being in this arena. That was the version of Bubba from ECW, and kind of remember that one night stand when there's that Rey Mysterio match, and was it Rey versus Hoovy? Is it? And one Hoovy's not wearing the mask. Psychosis, that's it.
Yeah.
Psychosis isn't wearing his mask, and Ray's wearing his WWE gear, and the crowd are like, I thought you could have rocked the tie-dye here, Bubba.
Yeah, that would have been a cool. Get Big Dick Dudley. You're saying go real deep.
I don't think he's alive anymore.
Yeah, rip. Love him though. So we get Bubba and Trick taking on these two, Ethan Page and Ridge. We have Booker T really hyped here. The crowd were showing love for Trick Williams. Book doing his what? Yeah, and then tried to get Vic to do it. He's like, come on, give me some, Vic. And Vic is like, what? And he's like, give me some, do it. And he's like, I don't understand. He's like, stop yelling at me. I thought that was pretty funny. As things start, Trick is in the ring, but Ridge slaps Bubba, who is on the apron. And there's this great pause here where Bubba's just like, you didn't just do that kind of thing. Not as long as like the Noah pause from that one match, but he just stood there for like, you stupid man. So finally he tags in here and tries to beat the respect out of Ridge as he attacks him. He hits him with a series of punches. Eventually tags back in Trick, and they start doing tag moves back in and out. Ethan makes the tag, and eventually Bubba hits his the Bubba punches, the bionic punches, essentially very similar to the Dusty Rhodes bionic elbow and everything.
Jabs,
yeah. Eventually Bubba is down on like all fours here, and then Trick runs and jumps off the back of Bubba and hits a jumping like clothesline to both of them. This was very impressive here as we go to commercial break. When we come back, it's the baddies beating down on Bubba Ray Dudley here, and eventually Ridge like crotches Bubba into the ring post when the ref isn't looking. When they get back into the ring, Bubba fights back when running the ropes and hits a spear here for a near fall. Trick is back in and hits the bookend to Ridge, and then Ridge somehow counters the Trick shot and counters Trick and rolls him up for the 1, 2, 3. And Ridge Holland has pinned our NXT champion Trick Williams. And as Trick is like, man, what the hell just happened there? Ethan Page attacks him. And I guess I'll get into what happens with all of this here. There's then a beatdown for Bubba making the save. And they go, it's time for the 3, 2, 1, get the tables. But Trick can't find the tables. There's no tables because Ethan Page told us earlier there will be no tables. So I'm assuming he made sure there was no tables in sight for these guys to use here. So when they're in the ring, Bubba's like, what are we going to do? There's no tables. You hear it. The bomb drops. It's going down. And out comes Devon Dudley. Oh, my brother. Testify. He comes out with a table. He slides it into the ring. He gives it to Bubba, gives it to Trick, and they hit the double rock bottom on Ethan Page through the table. And then Trick celebrates with the Dudley boys, and he even is gifted his own pair of glasses as Dudley boys and Trick celebrate in the ECW arena.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty fun. I liked the setup earlier in the night of establishing that the tables are going to be gone. I thought that was quite a nice spot. And it makes you wonder, shouldn't all wrestlers do this? Just go to the ring before the show starts? And nope, not having that.
Well, the gimmick is the wrestlers usually are the ones putting the shit there.
No,
right?
I know. But if I knew I was facing Triple H in the main event, I'd probably check and get a sledgehammer taken away. No, I thought it was fun. I think watching this, I think Bubba was one of the right choices for this. I think partly the fact that he always wore this gear, it kind of hides his age a bit. Do you know what I mean? He's always dressed like this. It's always jarring when you see things like Bret Hart's like return run in WWE when he's in the jean shorts and the shirt, and you're like, that's not you. And it makes them look washed up or whatever. And I thought Bubba kind of, look like the Bubba of old, a little slower, but can still go. And the teases for Devon at the end coming out, like I was sat watching going, come on, you got to bring up Devon. Devon's under a Legends contract. You can bring up Devon. And I thought it was a really nice moment. The match was what it was. I think it's more kind of story-based, Ridge getting the pin over Trick. I wonder if that's actually the singles match for Deadline, and then we have other people involved in the 5-way Iron Survivor. I think that's probably where we're going. again, still not like completely sold on that as a match. Doesn't do a whole lot for me, but they're really trying to build Ridge at the moment. But overall, I just had a lot of fun with this segment.
Yeah, this wasn't a great match by any means. It was pretty basic, but we had our classic pop with Bubba. You got the Dudley Boys reunion on WWE TV and kind of given the rub to Trick here. So it was a cool, fun moment. And I guess the only downer is, yeah, I don't want to watch Ridge versus Trick, but I guess we're going that way. But it would definitely be the deadline match considering the other wrestlers are all in that 5-man thing. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, always nice to see the Dudleys. Cool to see Devon. I feel like we haven't seen him necessarily as much as we've seen. Although thinking back again, when we were at Tribute to the Extreme in this venue just a few months ago, we watched Devon and Bubba versus Onita and Tommy Dreamer. So I mean, we all didn't really, but it's like I guess he's still been wrestling, but I don't think he's doing as much as like Bubba still kind of does.
Right.
So, it was still pretty cool seeing that. We go backstage and we see Ashanti, the Adonis, and Dion Lennox, and they're having a conversation. Ashanti is wearing a crazy, was it Lakers sweater or something like that? It was awesome.
Yeah, he looked like Drake here with his ball hoodie and dreads and all that.
It was probably like a $500 sweater for sure.
Yeah,
but it looked cool. This is when Carmen Petrovic shows up. She's wearing a ECW shirt, and they're kind of talking now. If you've been following the love story sort of Ashanti and Carmen of playing hard to get, both of them, I guess. She asked, "Where were you?" And he's like, "Oh, so like you are interested?" And she's like, "Yeah, but who was that girl you were with last week or 2 weeks ago?" And Ashanti says, "Oh, that girl? Yeah, that was my girl." And she's like, "Oh, so you do have a girlfriend? Oh, you do?" And he's like, No. And he's like, "Yeah, sorry. Like, I'm just not interested. You have too much attitude. Not my type," says Ashanti. And she's like, "Okay, cool, fine, whatever. Like, stay out of my business and I'll stay out of yours, whatever." And then he goes, "Oh, and I heard it was your birthday last week, so happy belated." And then he walks off. And then Carmen's just standing there and she says out loud, "You knew it was my birthday?" And then walks off. NXT Degrassi rolls on.
Oh, Ashanti the Adonis, you know what you're doing.
You dirty dog.
Someone's read The Game by, was it Neil Strauss or whatever? Come on. He's playing this perfectly. Brings another girl along. It's probably just a friend. Like, just for now. Yeah, that's just my girl for now. Not really interested. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot your birthday. Yeah, happy belated. He knows exactly what he's doing. What a guy. And of course Carmen's falling for it. So yeah,
I see love. I see sparks. I see all sorts. I see a great relationship just blossoming here in NXT. But yeah, Ashanti the Adonis storyline continues to be one of my deep secrets of wrestling, favorite things I'm following right now. I'm like, I gotta know if they get together now. I don't watch Love is Blind or anything, so like this is the closest I'm getting to this also, NXT Love Island.
Dion Lennox, he makes the guy. No, just he's always reading a book, right? But every time it looks like he's acting reading a book. It doesn't. It's bizarre. It never looks like he's actually reading.
Right.
It's really weird. Just read it. You don't need to pretend you're reading.
Pretend to read it.
It's very odd.
Yeah. Bless him. He reads. That's a good thing. More people.
No, he doesn't. That's what I'm saying. He's pretending to read.
Right.
That's weird.
Yeah. We saw the dream team earlier of the 5 baby faces in the main event team, but we see the 5 baddies here, Fatal Influence and Roxanne and Cora Jade. And they say that we heard what they have to say, and we don't care about where they've come from or who they're supposed to be, but it comes down to trust, and this team has it. Of course, the heels are the ones saying that. They say that that the best women in this business belong in the main event here tonight. So they're going to win this match and prove why they're champions. As you see, Fallon hold up the title and Rox hold up the title, and then all the three others are like, yeah, we don't have one, but yeah, we're the champs.
One day.
Yeah. We go to our next match, North American Championship on the line. The champion, this is for you, Italy. This is what we've been waiting for. This is it. This is your moment. Ciao, Bella. Nunzio comes out with Tony Mama Luke. Nunzio looking great. Nunzio was looking like
he had a bit of a Minoru Suzuki thing going on, didn't he? He was a bit
Wow,
of
imagine he
a
had that
murder grandpa vibe, right?
an Italian murder grandpa. Definitely means like a whole other thing. But like, wow, imagine Nunzio's in his Suzuki era.
Yeah,
That'd be fucking wild. It was great to see.
Get
this
him in
guy.
the G1 this year or next year.
Bro, they got pizza. Japan got pizza. They love pizza. Zaria. It's not great pizza, but it's pizza. So get him over there. Send him Nunzio over there. Nunzio's here with Tony Mamaluke. The only thing is, what music is this? Come on. You know how easy it is to make a ripoff of No Sleep Till Brooklyn? It's like even the Costco guys know how to do that. Like it's one of the most easiest ripped off beats in like all of hip hop. And here they just gave him something completely different, but it's okay. I'll forgive him. Lil Guido chants from the ECW Arena ringing out here. I know he loved that. A little smile on his face. When Tony G
even had little Guido on his trunks as well.
Excellent. Classic. So out comes the family. It's Tony D versus Nunzio. Right away, Nunzio is acting, sees how big Tony D is, and kind of realizes like, hey, maybe like I've made a mistake. So he kind of starts running around. Tony D is chasing him. He uses Mamaluke as a shield, and then Tony clotheslines Mamaluke. Back in the ring, Tony hits this huge belly to belly on Nunzio, just slamming him to the mat here. I thought he had really hurt him at one point. It was such a slamming noise that he crushes him. Somehow Nunzio gets up and hits a jumping drop kick of his own off the second rope. Vintage Nunzio here. And then sets up for and nails perfectly the Sicilian slice.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Have you ever wondered where John Cena got this move from? Right here. The Sicilian slice off the top as the crowd chant, you still got it here. But it's not enough to keep Tony D down. This is when the family get up on the apron. They're getting involved, and there's a crowbar. But somehow it's thrown into the hands of Nunzio, and the ref is like, hey, you can't be using this. We didn't agree to this. So it's taken away. And this is when he runs at Tony and gets caught up for the spine buster. But Tony just holds him there for a little while. And I'm sure any Italian listeners out there can help me here. But the camera was just perfect on Nunzio's face, hanging up there in the air as he says his prayers here, cuts his own throat, and then gets spine bustered for the 1, 2, 3. And then afterwards, the two families standing in the ring, they shake hands. They do the Italian double cheek European kisses. They hug, and now both families
they're all kissing,
standing side by side. NXT Italy is strong and thriving here. And then they say, then it cuts to Sean Spears and Brooks Jensen watching. And Sean Spears says, next week, I'm feeling hungry. I'm thinking Italian. And then Brooks goes, I get it. And then walks off. But yes, wow. What a fantastic meeting of the FBI, full-blooded Italians, and Tony D'Angelo's family. It was pretty funny, and I really enjoyed it. I was really entertained. Not a great match by any means, but like the whole thing was just
I thought Nunzio looked awesome though. I thought he did look really good. Did a lot more than I was expecting. I had a lot of fun with this. Not only it just being Nunzio, but Tony Mamaluke there as well, who had a bit of physicality as well. But yeah, just good fun. It didn't need to be any more than this, I didn't think. And I thought last week we were setting up maybe just for a bit of a segment, some dialogue, and maybe Brooks gets involved or whatever. But this was so much more than that. I thought this was great use of the legend.
Like, hey, like it's ECW lore. We have a gimmick on NXT about a mob. What's another one? The full-blooded Italians. We've literally joked about this for like since Tony's been a character.
Is it refreshing seeing some different people from the past come back? It's not just, Boogeyman and the Hurricane for a Rumble spot. It's people we haven't seen for years. I think it's so much more refreshing, and they should do this. I mean, we've somewhat ironically, somewhat unironically, been calling for Steve Blackman for a Rumble appearance for years, but I think there are so many other people from that era, you know, that people would love to see, and you don't always have to just go to the well and bring back the same old faces all the time. You know, Ron Simmons comes out and says, "Damn, cool, we've seen it." Like, bless Ron Simmons, but let's try and look a bit more broadly at other like fun characters we've had over the years that you can bring back for these spots.
It must be hard for ECW, especially like, you know, here, this is the great spot to do it in, because you can do like a Nunzio level kind of thing. It works because we all know who he was. They were cheering for Lil Guido, right? Like, it was perfect. And a great use of using a legend and fitting in the ECW, tying it into a popular character and helping get Tony over a little bit, getting the family, the rub here. So just really, really nice. And you bring up Steve Blackman, Davey. You know, we've been campaigning for Steve Blackman in the Royal Rumble for far too many years now, and it's not happened. However, just yesterday, WWE Vault, who've been on quite a run, released a video with Steve Blackman, who like introduces it, and they play a match. I forget which one. He's talking about him and Shane.
It's him and Shane, yeah.
So everyone's like, "Oh, this is cool. They got Steve Blackman and doing a video." What I saw was, this is the first step. This is what opens the door for the Rumble spot.
This is Goldberg on the cover of 2K before Goldberg comes in, right? It's
so
that
you're saying
kind of
put
thing.
Blackman on the cover of 2K.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, come on. Let's get creative this Royal Rumble. I feel we've had a few Rumbles in a row now where there hasn't really been those fun surprises that we love at that event. So bring back Stevie Boy. It's time to start campaigning for that again.
Yeah. Oh, Stevie Richards?
Sure, bring back him as well.
Yeah, he wasn't on the show tonight, but you know, Steve Blackman definitely in the Rumble. Steve Blackman for Rumble 25. Book it. We get a recap last week of the Heritage Cup of Lexus King and William Regal, and King didn't use the Nux, and here he's like, we see a video of him talking to William Regal backstage after the match, and he says, "I'm sorry, sir, I just couldn't do it." And Regal says, "Yeah, well, you've proven you're not your father's son," and then continues to walk it off. When No Quarter Catch Crew show up, Charlie and his cup and his whole crew, and they say, "Nice try, old man." And Regal says, "I guess he didn't have it, did he?" "He's not his father's son," says Charlie. And then Regal says, "Yeah, but what about you? Are you your father's son?" And Charlie says, "Only time will tell." And Regal says, "Yeah, I'll be watching you." And then mentions to the other group members and says, "This isn't about just him. This is all about all of you. And I see the tag division is really wide open right now. So you guys need to make some changes. You guys need to move forward." So and then Regal walks off, and they all kind of look at each other. I really like this. Obviously, William Regal as an on-screen character, like in NXT, just is perfect. And having him with his own son is like kind of cheeky, but in the same way, it's like, I'm watching you from afar, you know, son. I'm not babysitting, you know, but like, are you winning, son? Are you winning? Come on, son. I kind of like wherever this is going. So far, even just whatever this is, I'm really into it.
I like the idea of actually Miles and Tavion being more of a solid tag team and going for the gold. I think the tag team division is something we can build up. Fraxium are great, but where are the challengers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I like having this thing with Regal. Maybe like we don't need to see him next week. We don't need to see him for a while, but every now and then checking in on Charlie Dempsey and these guys, see what's going on. Because he did bring up the last interaction they had as well. So yeah, I like that. And then Ren Sinclair doing the, do you get the joke? Oh, he's very fatherly, kind of just drumming it over your head at the end there.
It's his dad.
Yeah.
No, I think this is pretty cool. Like having Charlie's been great in NXT. Like when he's finally ready, I think he could be an awesome character in addition to WWE main roster. And like whether you have Regal attached to him or not wasn't something like that came to mind, but now kind of seeing it just in sprinkles here, I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. So Bring it on. As Job Knobley in the chat room right now says, War Games in the Regal voice. Yeah, that's what he's got to be busy. This is the time of the month. This is Mariah, like, Regal War Game season. It's like, this is what you're known for. You got to say it. Say the thing, Regal. He'll be in Vancouver, I'm sure. Triple H will bring him in for the video. He has to. We go to video for Nikita Lyons, who is talking about her match next week with Rizzo. She says the Lioness wasn't waiting her turn. So, Rizzo, you're just the start, and you won't be the last. And everyone keeps saying that we have a stacked division here. So stack them up in front of me, and I'll knock them all down. As she spins her nunchucks around here. So Nikita Lyons versus Rizzo next week. And she says she's going to start taking down all these NXT women's roster members. What do you think? You think she will?
I think she probably will next week, unfortunately. But I'd like to see something from Rizzo instead. I can't say I'm a big fan of Nikita Lyons. She doesn't really do it for me, but we'll see. We haven't seen too much of her since her return. So, it sounds like she's really just going to be taking that Bea Priestley, what's her name? Blair Davenport role of just being the kind of bully in NXT.
Mm-hmm. We see Stevie carrying Stone out with Ava and then through the parking lot. And they should be careful, not just because this is the NXT parking lot, but because we've established it can move. The NXT parking lot is a moving thing, but you're just outside after dark in Philly, so you should just also just be careful around the ECW arena when they run into Fraxium. And Ava says that next week they won't have to have a match or defense, but she's going to give a state of the tag team division next week on NXT. And Frazier, because I think it's Axiom who asks, like, hey, do we have a match or anything? Like, he's like a fighting champion. And she's like, no, next week you're not wrestling. So I will give a state. And then hopefully we can find your next challenger next week. And then this is when Frazier says to Axiom, oh, sweet, a week off. See you later, mate. And then slaps him on the chest and walks off. So Frazier and Axiom still not getting along because Frazier wants to party and Axiom's like, who are we facing next? What's going on?
Do you see that it could be a potential Dusty Classic announcement?
Yeah, I think so. I was thinking we never really got that when Cody said something about it, right? So I could be wrong, but it could be a good time to maybe bring that back, or at least some sort of tag team tournament, turmoil, something to establish some teams, because
I think there's enough time. Like December 7th, we've got a month that we could get this tournament done, have the finals at deadline, perhaps. It's been a while. I'm trying to see when the last one was.
Wolf Dogs?
Oh, it was this year. It was February this year. We had a Classic. So maybe not that. Part of me was thinking I'd almost like to, because I think we can see what the women's Iron Survivor is. I'd almost like to do away with the men's singles Iron Survivor and do a tag team one. Could be pretty fun.
That'd be crazy.
Just,
a lot of people
it'll be chaotic, but if you even had Fraxium defending it, like those two in an Iron Survivor, I think would be pretty nuts. But it'll be overkill with the 3 matches, but could be something for down the line.
Like with the stuff with Regal, I see them pushing Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. That could be a potential thing. There really is. I mean, Sean Spears and Brooks, maybe. Like, there's not a whole
Spears
lot.
is injured, I think, and Brooks is going for the...
I think
is he cleared now?
His arm or something like that. Last week or something?
You got Hank and Tank, Malik Blade and Idris Enofe, who've just vanished recently, I feel.
Yeah, they really have.
Could do some rehab, that division, I think.
Yeah, there's really no other teams right now. So Fraxium just kind of just beating everyone. I can't see.
We also didn't get much follow-up on Javon and Cedric this week, but obviously they're kind of aligned, and we could see Cedric potentially turning on Javon down the line.
I mean, just rematch that. Do the rematch at deadline of those two teams.
I think they'll be in the Survivor together.
Oh, right. Javon will be in that thing. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. We get that state of the tag team division next week, as well as announcements involving qualifying matches for both Iron Survivors next week. But we're also getting Kelani Jordynne versus Fallon for the North American title, Nikita versus Rizzo, qualifying matches, like I said, and a whole lot more on next week's episode. When we cut to the ring, time for the main event, and in comes the Queen of Extreme, Francine, is here, sitting ringside for this main event.
Leading an EC dub chant.
Yes, that's right. Remember when we saw her at the arena, I was leading a "You Still Got It" chant.
Yes, that's
Francine.
correct.
Love Francine. The main event, 5-woman tag match. The Dream Team consisting of TNA's Jordynne Grace, Giulia, Stephanie Vaquer, Kelani Jordynne, and of course I'm now forgetting because there's 5 of them. Who am I
Jordynne
forgetting?
Grace.
Wait, I think I said her already.
Jordynne Grace, Giulia, Stephanie, Kelani, and Zaria. There we go.
Yes. This team is crazy. Like, just looking at them last week, all standing in a row, was like, holy, like, look at this women's division here. Just crazy. They're taking on the team of Fatal Influence, meaning JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix. Also with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. So this starts off with Fallon and Kelani, who are going back at it like quite fast, and they're the two that are facing next week again. But then it's Vaquer who tags in and hits this huge springboard crossbody, and then the face smashing move, dubbed the best move in NXT, the face smash to the mat here, followed up by the 619. And then tags in Giulia, and they're doing like all these different double teams. Roxanne is frustrated, so she gets tagged in, but Giulia hits her with the Northern Light suplex. And then this, like, one of those, I think she does it a little bit later. Like, Giulia has some crazy offense here. Zaria tags in, but so does JC Jane, and she tries to attack Zaria, but Zaria just headbutts her here. This looked crazy. Somehow JC comes back with a Rana attempt, but it's countered into like some sort of powerbomb attempt, but then that's broken up. And then all of a sudden, all 5 women are standing, all facing each other. It's the West Side Story face-to-face brawl as they all start to fight, and everyone's beating each other up. There's then like all the baddies get sent to the outside, and then Kelani hits a moonsault to everyone, which looked pretty cool. As we go to commercial break,
it was the Charlotte moonsault. It was landing on your feet, not really hitting anyone, but still look cool.
Yeah, still hit everyone kind of. When we come back from break, everyone's beating down on Kelani now, but then Grace finally gets the tag and hits huge German suplexes on Cora, and then a double power bomb with Zaria onto onto Cora as well for a near fall. This is when Giulia hits the spinning out like Rikishi driver, Fire Thunder driver. It's very, very much Okada's way of hitting the sit out spinning like side. Like neck breaker type thing. It just looks awesome. But JC runs at her with a neck breaker. There was all sorts of craziness here. There's Vaquer who hits her back breaker. There's a running face buster, angle slams, Pele kick from Nix at one point. This is when Grace is in. She hits like a Death Valley driver, like slamming senton. When Lash Legend shows up ringside and is kind of getting her face and poking her nose into some business. But then Vaquer jumps and takes out everyone, followed by Cora Jade hitting a swanton bomb onto everyone onto the other side. But then Rox gets in the ring with Zaria, and she's alone, but accidentally gets Jordynne Grace is in the way, and it's Zaria who takes out Grace by accident. And she's kind of like, oh, what did I just do here? As the crowd are chanting, you fucked up. I'm sure the CW we're trying to censor that one. And then as she's like realizing like, oh, I just speared Grace, Roxanne goes for pop rocks on Zaria, but it's countered, and she picks her up and hits the F5. They don't call it that. They don't have a name for it actually yet. But Zaria pins the NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez, in this pretty wild 10-woman tag match main event. Pretty crazy match.
Oh, I absolutely love this. This was my match of the night, especially when everything broke down and everyone was just running in, hitting their finishing moves. We're coming into Survivor Series season, and I know we're doing more the War Games gimmick these days rather than the classic Survivor Series. But this reminded me, even though this was an elimination, with the right people and the right kind of dream pairings, how exciting these matches can be. And I think the thing is that why they died a death in WWE was we were so used to just seeing everyone has faced everyone like every week, you know. Whereas with this crop, and you've got the three women in like Giulia, Stephanie, and Zaria just coming in. You've got Jordynne Grace, who isn't an NXT talent yet. You had all these kind of dream pairings happen throughout this, and the whole match just didn't let up. I thought it was fantastic, and I think you've done what you can sometimes do in those matches, is set up lots of little feuds. Like, I think Stephanie and Giulia, they were working together as the tag team still in this match. They had a really nice sequence with the like drop toe hold into the running drop kick and the 619. Possibly set up something with the two juggernauts in Jordynne Grace and Zaria down the line, with Zaria accidentally hitting her with the spear, and with them both being the two powerhouses. That's something you could definitely do. And obviously Zaria pinning Roxanne as well sets up something there. So I thought this is an excellent main event, and just really showcased this show being bookended with, you know, this and the Jaida Parker Lola Vice match, just how strong this women's division is, and how exciting the future of women's wrestling in WWE is once all of these are main roster bound.
Yeah, like NXT gets called the best women's wrestling, and it's for a reason. You said it. Like, you started the show with an awesome match. I said that was my match of the night, but then kind of going through recapping, I'm like, oh man, there was some crazy.
Yeah, this was nuts.
Stuff. Like we were really familiar with Giulia with some of her awesome stuff in Japan, but I was not familiar with Zaria Delta, and just seeing her like in just the few weeks we've already seen her, I'm like, wow, like how have they not had her already? Like, she instantly like makes me a fan of her, and having the tease with her and Grace, who is coming in from TNA, like kind of on loan until maybe she's a full-time NXT superstar, like just awesome stuff. And I hope they're in the Iron Survivor match. We said last week that we kind of hoped Roxanne has to defend the title because it would just be crazy with like all those different women. But if it's Grace, Zaria, Giulia, Vaquer, and Roxanne, like that match sounds incredible.
And if it is number one contenders, I imagine you just put Jordynne Grace in the match.
Well, no, you'd put Cora, I guess, instead of Roxanne, right?
Well, I wonder if Cora would be more just in Roxanne's corner if she's defending on the show. But yeah, either way, whatever combinations you're getting are going to be excellent, and just speaks how stacked this division is now.
Yeah, look at this, like just the team. Like, even if you weren't familiar with some of these women, like now you definitely are, because they were just impressive. And shout out to the NXT talents too, like Kelani Jordynne definitely deserved. She didn't look out of place. Like even JC Jane, Jasmine Nix, like they had their spots and looked good in this match. So like hats off to everyone, because you had 10 women main eventing in the ECW arena here, and they killed it. They knocked it out the park. So all the women on the show, I thought this was an awesome main event, but I thought this was an awesome episode of NXT, and dare I say, possibly the best episode of NXT this year. And I don't think it would be topped. And it may be just because I am a big fan of the old ECW nostalgia. I have been beaten over the head with it over the past few years, but I think they really did a great job of not overkilling it and really helping getting over the NXT talent, today's talent, the talent of like the future of WWE. So I really love this show.
Yeah, I think this is what they've got wrong quite a few times. I think back to that head-to-head probably this time last year with with Cody and The Undertaker, and was John Cena on the show or whatever. Like that episode where just the wrestling wasn't good. You had all these people on, you had all these extra eyes, but the wrestling kind of lacked. Mm-hmm. And I thought this show, it's potentially one where you're going to get some extra eyes on. I know it's a bit difficult being fallout of election and there's still all that coverage going. It's on a different night, but they marketed this show really well, and they've been drumming it home. There were promos on Raw yesterday. They were on Monday. They were letting people know when NXT is, where to find it, and they're gonna get people just out of curiosity. I want to see what this ECW show is. And you have a main event like this where you can come out of it going, wow, I don't know who those women were, but they were fantastic. Like they really stood out. Same with the opening match. And I don't think anything in ring really lacked. Like Wes Lee versus Javon was awesome. Mm-hmm. So I think this was this was it. And I think whenever they're doing these gimmicky kind of ones, when you've got the legends coming in or whatever, you really need to still showcase your actual NXT talent. And that's exactly what they did tonight. I thought they had a hell of a showing, perfect balance of nostalgia and current day stuff. Just a really enjoyable 2 hours, I thought.
Oh, it flew by. I've been loving NXT on the CW because they're way quicker to doing things. They're not letting things stretch out. They're like trimming the fat a little bit. And here, this felt like a bit of a PLE with like focusing on like the big matches, especially the opening match and the main event. But this was way more enjoyable than Halloween Havoc. Like, this was so much fun. Again, it's kind of cheating because you got the like nostalgia stuff with ECW, but at the end of the day, I really was entertained.
I think take that out of it. The three
wrestling
matches in Javon Evans and Wes, the 10 woman and the opening, like, still a really enjoyable show with or without.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, I think this was my favorite episode of NXT this year. Favorite episode of NXT full stop in quite a while, but NXT One Night Stand. Let's do this again sometime in this arena and bring in other old people and stuff like that. I think it's something we could revisit without hitting it over the head too much, but it was special. It was really fun. And again, I was going into this episode like, how the hell are you going to try to tell me that NXT in 2024 is supposed to be the same thing or somewhat related to ECW of the 90s? And somehow I think they did a really good job here tonight. So hats off to that. Shawn Michaels, you're cooking, brother. You're cooking. What do you see in Deadline? We're joking about the Iron Survivor match women's. We kind of want Roxanne to be in it just because it would be a banger of a match. But say she's not. She probably has to defend against Zaria because Zaria pinned her. Right?
Yeah. Okay. So you could do that. So Roxanne v Zaria, and then you can have
Cora,
Stephanie,
Giulia, Stephanie, some other people in there.
Stephanie, Giulia, Cora, Kelani, and Jordynne Grace. Yeah. That's 5. And then Ridge Holland versus Trick Williams, I'm imagining, and you can have Wes Lee, Javon, Ethan Page. Who are your other two? You've got maybe could do an outsider like some Joe Hendry. I don't know.
Okay, true. Yeah,
possibly. True. And then whatever's going on with Fraxium, who they're gonna face, right. and then Fallon defending against someone.
True. Yeah. Well, Fallon versus Kelani next week, which should be really good too. This is without the 3 of them against her. It's just a 1-on-1. So I expect the wrestling to be really good as well. But yeah, thumbs up for me.
And we've got time. The fact that we already kind of see a bit of a direction and we've got a month to go is pretty good. Hopefully this, I normally really enjoy these Iron Survivor matches. And I think they really clicked this week and we can have some good stuff for that show.
So there you go. That was us. Big thumbs up for ECW Arena NXT. It was a really fun show here tonight and just breezed by. So one of my favorite TV episodes from WWE in quite a long time. Like the full 2 hours was really, really fun. That's what we thought. If you agreed with us or disagreed, you can follow us on Twitter or Facebook and all those things. But every time we do one of these shows, we post a feedback thread in our Facebook group. You can join it, search Poison Rana, and follow the page and find the group. And we'll read your comments like Fire Frank Sulo, who writes in here. Did I say his name right? NXT Italy is alive with the FBI and the family having a moment at the arena. Fun show tonight. Evans versus Lee was probably my match of the night, but a lot of fun stuff and cameos throughout the 2300 arena. Looked great on TV and with the hot Philly crowd all night. Yes, I know Frank had a great time at the Philly Arena, ECW Arena with us a few months ago. But thank you.
And then we go to Magan, who says, the ECW nostalgia were the sprinkles on top of this extreme Sunday. Javon Evans getting the Van Dam rub was cool. I even popped seeing Kelani in the splits with RVD during a skit. And it's not a Philly experience without a blackout run-in. It was cool to see Rhino. Not in the name, hit his gore on stone. Trick
no
Bubba.
I in the name, I think he means. No, not spelling it with the Y like WWE. Yeah.
Gotcha. Hit his gore on stone. Trick Bubba versus Ethan and Ridge was harmless fun with a surprising outcome. The show was bookended expertly with their women's roster. The opening hardcore match with Jaida and Lola was strong, and the 10-women tag match delivered the goods. It's no longer a two-horse race over who's going to beat Roxy for the title. First, Stephanie Vaquer and now Zaria have pinned the champion, and somewhat in the middle of the action was Jordynne Grace catching a stray spear. That can't get swept under the rug as the deadline creeps ever closer. I think the winning super team might be the 5 to fill up the Iron Survivor match in Minneapolis. Thanks you all for being my escape from the shittiness out there. Well, thank you, Megan.
Yes, thank you very much, Megan. We definitely pride ourselves of being an escape of reality. Isn't that what wrestling is? Isn't that what entertainment is and all that stuff? So we hope we can bring a little bit of that every time we do one of these shows. But thank you, Megan. Thank you, Frank, for writing in. Megan bringing up the splits. It reminds me of the Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's the same one. That's why people always thought those guys were related, because they both do the splits all the time.
Yeah.
Are they supposed
they
to?
They kind of look the same as
I know.
Facially. They
I just love
look
both
very
of them
similar.
growing up. Yeah, big fans of both of them. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you listening to us here on Up Next. We usually do this on Tuesdays, so we will be back on Tuesday here on the Post Wrestling feed. But we do go live on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be doing a Poisonrana, chatting all about AEW, New Japan stuff, WWE, everything else. And like we said, we have a patreon.com/Poisonrana. $5 to get access to so many shows, ECW reviews, movie reviews, and so much more. So Champ is here, episode 3 coming out this week, and I can't wait for you all to hear it. But appreciate everyone out there. Follow us on the socials, and I myself, Braden Herrington, you can find me at the Brady.
And you can find me at Davie Portman.
That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And love conquers all.
Ahoy!